Good morning, and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center Saxe this first Sunday in April. Let's take a deep breath together. Breathing in and exhaling deeply, fully. Continuing to breathe, relaxing, letting go, feeling ourselves supported by the chairs we're sitting in. Letting go of whatever weight you feel is on your shoulders. Surrendering your heart and mind to the divinity within you that is you. Casting all cares upon that which guides us and supports us. Is always working for our highest and best. Freeing our minds of concerns. The need to be productive at all times. Just allowing ourselves to be. Be peaceful. Joyful. Plentiful. Healthful. And fully in our magnificence. The magnificence that is born of who and what we are as unique divine expressions. We allow ourselves to settle there as we prepare for an experience together. Whether we are here in this beautiful facility on Ben Davis Road or sitting at our homes watching remotely. We know that we are all united as one. We are all united in and of the one. And so we relax and open, surrender fully to the all good. Surrendering fully. Opening our arms wide. Opening our hearts wide. So we just breathe and rest here. There is nothing to do. Nothing to work for. We have only to be. We have only to be. And so it is from this place of peace and power that we sing from our hearts our centering song, Spirit's Prayer. Together. Loving Spirit dwells in me. This is my divinity. As within, so without. All I need is here and now. Where there's error, let me love. May I have no fear. So this first reading is from the book The Shack. And if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, it's the story of a family, and one of the children is kidnapped and murdered, and the father is having a real crisis of faith. And so this portion of the book, he is having an experience with God and is talking with her in the kitchen. And they're talking about Jesus and, well, they're talking about Jesus. Let's take it from there. So this is God speaking. When we three spoke ourselves into human existence, I love that line, when we spoke ourselves into human existence, as the Son of God, we became fully human. We also chose to embrace all the limitations this entailed. Even though we have always been present in this created universe, we now became flesh and blood. It would be like this bird, whose nature it is to fly, choosing only to walk and remain grounded. He doesn't stop being a bird, but it does alter his experience of life significantly. She paused to make sure Mac was still tracking. While there was a definite cramp forming in his brain, he voiced an okay, inviting her to continue. She says, although by nature he is fully God, Jesus is fully human and lives as such. While never losing the innate ability to fly, he chooses moment by moment to remain grounded. That is why his name is Emmanuel, God with us, or God with you, to be more precise. But what about all the miracles, the healings, he says, raising people from the dead? Don't those prove that Jesus was God, more than human? She says, no, it proves that Jesus is truly human. What? Mackenzie, I can fly, but humans can't. Jesus is fully human. Although he is also fully God, he has never drawn upon his nature as God to do anything. He has only lived out of his relationship with me, living in the very same manner that I desire to be in relationship with every human being. He is just the first to do it to the uttermost. The first to absolutely trust my life within him. The first to believe in my love and my goodness without regard for appearance or consequence. So when he healed the blind, he did so as a dependent, limited human being, trusting in my life and power to be at work within him and through him. Jesus, as a human being, had no power within himself to heal anyone. That came as a shock to Mac's religious system. God goes on, only as he rested in his relationship with me and in our communion, our co-union, could he express my heart and will into any given circumstance. So, when you look at Jesus and it appears that he is flying, he really is flying. But what you're actually seeing is me, my life in him. That's how he lives and acts as a true human, how every human is designed to live out of my life. A bird is defined not by being grounded, but by his ability to fly. Remember this. Humans are defined not by their limitations, but by the intentions I have for them. Not by what they seem to be, but by everything it means to be created in my image.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm filling in for my loving husband, Pete. The word this morning is omnipresence. From Inspiration Moment 365, Science of Mind. How can we expect to realize God in the emptiness of space if we have refused to see God in those we meet? And how can we find God in those we meet and in the events that transpire around us unless we have first discovered God at the center of our own being? We cannot. The starting point is at the center of our own being. When we awaken to the divine within us, it will reach out and embrace everything around us, and it will discover the same presence in the people and events and in all nature. For God is not separate from what he is doing. The divine life is in everyone and in everything. This is the secret that Jesus discovered. This is why he was able to speak as no other person ever spoke. This is why he was able to perform miracles of love and healing, and in doing, prove a fact so simple, so fundamental, and so powerful that people stand in awe before it. The simple fact that God is right where you are. And our affirmation, if you will repeat 3 times with me. I see God in everyone and everything. I see God in everyone and everything. I see God in everyone and everything. Thank you.
Good morning. Am I in the light? Okay, well. You are the light. Yeah. Thank you. Good morning. My name's Candy Williams, and I am honored to be with you this morning, especially with Maestro Stefan Carlson. This is the first time I've worked with him, so this is very special to me for many reasons. This song is Peace by the great jazz master Horace Silver. There's a place that I know where the sycamores grow and daffodils have their fun, where the cares of the day seem to slowly fade away in the glow of the evening sun. Peace when the day is done. If I go there real late, let my mind meditate on everything to be done. If I search deep inside, let my conscience be my guide, then the answers are sure to come. Don't have to worry none. Like sweet seeds when it grows, like a big yellow rose can wither and come undone. Well, that sweet yellow thing will be blossoming in spring with the kiss of the midday sun. Living has just When you find peace of mind, leave your worries behind. Don't say that it can't be done. With a new point of view, life's true meaning comes to you, and the freedom you seek is won. Peace is for everyone. Peace is for everyone. Peace is for
Oh, actually, I'll take this. Thank you, ma'am. So in June of 2018, 12 little boys who were members of the Wild Boars soccer team in Thailand were with their coach, and they went exploring in a cave, which they often did. And they were only going to be there for about an hour or so, so they didn't take anything with them. And this is a month before the monsoon season. And they went into the cave and then realized that there was more water coming in for some reason. Things had started a little earlier, and they got trapped in the cave. And it's sometime during the evening that the parents realize that their little boys have not come home, so they all start to gather, and they realize they are probably trapped underground in this cave. And the caves are filled with water. There are miles and miles in this particular cave where there's nothing but tons and tons of rock, and you're down there exploring under the earth. You'd never see me down there. That would not be my thing I'd do for fun. And they got trapped there. It took 10 days before they could find someone who could figure out how to go in there and get them. 10 days in a cave with their coach, no food. The only water they had was what was trickling down the rocks, coming in from the ground above. So they found 2 British cave divers who then contacted someone they knew who's an Australian vascular surgeon and also a cave diver. And they came and they started commiserating about how do we go in and try to get these boys out of there. Because if they didn't get them soon, those caves were going to fill up with water and they would have drowned. And before the waters came in, they would probably suffocate because there's only but so much oxygen down there. So they studied this, and there were Navy SEALs, and there were rescue workers, and people from a lot of different countries who came together to figure out how to get these boys out of this cave, if not alive, then to recover their bodies, because they didn't know if they could get in there. They've already been down there 10 days. And I think it's a good 14 days before they end up going in. These 3 divers have to whittle their way through, and it takes 2.5 hours one way to get to where the boys and the coach are. So the first thing they do is take them food, because they haven't eaten in 14 days by the time they get to them, have not eaten. So they take them food and supplies. They figure out that they're going to have to get wetsuits for every last one of them, masks, because they're going to have to bring those boys back through the water to get back. So they have to take somebody with them first to help them take the food. It was a Navy SEAL, I believe, who went with them. Now, Navy SEALs are good with being in the water, but they're not cave divers. So this is out of the box for them. And meanwhile, these 3 divers are in their 50s. In their 50s, middle-aged men coming in to help with this, and they're working with Navy SEALs who are probably half their age. Half their age and maybe a little bit more. So this is a unique possibility, but their only hope are these 3 men. So they take in one of the Navy SEALs, and this is hard. This is 2.5 hours in the pitch dark. The water is so muddy and so cloudy you can't see your hand before your eyes. So you are in relative darkness and very cold waters for 2.5 hours. And one of the first people they take in, grown person, loses it in the water. I mean, just gets anxious and scared and terrified. And they wonder, now, if this is a grown person, how are we going to take 12 little boys and a coach out of there alive? How are we going to do this? So the vascular surgeon figures out that they can anesthetize these little boys, put them in wetsuits, and take them out asleep through the water. 2.5 hours each. 12 kids and a coach. And they end up getting them out. They end up rescuing. All 12 boys lived. All 12 boys live. And it happens over 3 days. They get 3 the first day, 4 the first day, I think, 4 the next. And then they get the rest out the last day. All of them lived. All of them lived. The story is quite amazing. It's a documentary called The Rescue. And it's on National Geographic. It's kind of, if you don't like tight spaces, it's kind of hard to watch. And for a moment, my blood pressure was up here, even though I knew at that time all of the boys lived. But it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. What fascinated me, though, are the 3 men who rescued these boys. The 3 men. Now, they're cave dwellers, which all of us, I would think that you are probably one of the bravest, most confident people in the world in order to cave dive. This is how the surgeon described cave explorers. He said you probably have 2 parts ego, 1 part curiosity, and 1 part, I thought he was going to say, courage. He said 1 part lack of confidence and a need to prove yourself in the world. All 3 of the cave divers who saved these 12 little boys and their coach described themselves as not having social skills. All of them were bullied as children. One of them, he says, he had a lazy right eye, and he was very self-conscious about that. One of them says he was terrible at team sports and described himself as a loser. He said, I would be described as a young one as doesn't play well with others. One of the other gentlemen said, I was quiet and shy and didn't like confrontation. I was not sociable. One of the other gentlemen explained, characterized himself as emotionally challenged, not social, and when I get underground, all of that disappears. I feel safe. I can't see anything. I'm totally isolated. It's where I feel most comfortable. I get away from everything in the normal society, and I get to expand my comfort zone in someone else's worst nightmare. They get to expand their comfort zone in somebody else's worst nightmare. All of them describe themselves as having no confidence, not good with people, feeling less than all of their lives, yet cave dwelling was how they escaped life. It wasn't something they did out of bravado or courage or arrogance or anything else, which totally didn't make sense to me. Totally didn't make sense to me. Yet that was their existence. That was their lives. As adults, that's how they described themselves, as totally lacking of confidence. And when they're talking about their experience rescuing these boys during this near disaster, when they thought it was nearly impossible to get the children out, let alone alive, they talk about their fear. And that the only thing that drove them was trying to save those lives. It's the only thing that drove them. And they wanted them to come out alive. The only one who had ever given an injection before was the surgeon, of course. The other two had to learn. So here they are, and they had to give the injection more than once. So they gave the injection the first time when they pick up the little boy, and they put him in the wetsuit, and they put on the mask, make sure they're breathing, and everything's fine, everything's fitting well. And then they put them to sleep. And then they have to guide themselves and the little boy through the pitch dark, 2.5 hours to safety. They have to stop at one cave along the way back to administer the anesthesia again. Again. And they talk about holding life in their hands, and that it's unacceptable to me that this child loses his life on my watch. There are parents and family members waiting on the other end for these children. You know, when I read that excerpt from the shack, I think of these three men. That here in this moment, in this experience in these caves, they were flying. They were like a bird flying. One of the gentlemen says at the end of the documentary, he said, I always thought I was cold and detached. And yet being cold and detached enabled me to do what I had to do in that cave. Because to have emotion, to panic underground, means you could lose your life. Sometimes they are wriggling through such tight spaces that they feel like they're being crushed. They have to wedge between rocks to get out. That would send most of us into a near panic. And yet, that's what they do. Yet, that's what they do. So in something that they thought was a human limitation, actually was a superpower. One of them said, I was never picked first for the soccer team, but I was picked first for the cave rescue. It was the surgeon whose father was ill when he was first contacted about the rescue. His father died a few hours before they got the last boy out. And he called his wife to tell her he was fine, and that all the boys lived, and she had to tell him that his father was gone. And he thought, after he collected himself, how perfect is this? That here I am in celebration of life, of saving these 13 lives, and yet I can celebrate my father's life here. For he has been set free as well. He lived a great life. He lived a great life. And it changed that experience for him. It changed his father's passing. The other interesting thing is that the coach who was stuck with the little boys in the cave was a former monk. He had taught the boys to meditate. He had them meditating in the cave while they were stranded there. And they're thinking that's one of the reasons why each of those little boys not only lived, but thrived after they were rescued. They were never anxious. When the divers found them, they were all sitting there, wide-eyed and smiling. Wide-eyed and smiling. Incredible. Incredible. So in what ways might you be living from your human limitation and not in your magnificence? Like the bird in flight. Have you grounded yourself in some way, thinking that who and what you are, the quirks that you have, the things that you have judged to be limitations, when they could always be your biggest gift? The way that you are called to serve and be in the world. 3 misfits helped save 13 lives. 13 lives. In an extremely dangerous rescue. As the last 2 Navy SEALs came out of that cave, the cave flooded. And it was 8 months before anyone else could enter that cave. That's how much water came into that cave. They barely got out of there. 2 Navy SEALs died. One died in the water as they were floating the wetsuits to the little boys because they became so buoyant. It took him longer than 2.5 hours to get there. They barely had enough air when they would get to the boys, and he suffocated on the way to bring the wetsuits. One other Navy SEAL died after the rescue and died in the hospital. We lose how incredible we are by virtue of our divinity and our humanity. As the excerpt from the shack said, Jesus did what he did, was able to heal and to perform miracles because he always acknowledged his co-union with God. When we read scripture, you often hear and read about Jesus looking up to heaven first and then going into his miracle. He's invoking the co-union, his oneness with God. And he never wavered from that. That's why we think he's special. And what the excerpt from the shack is saying, what the inspiration moment about omnipresence is saying, is that we also have that, but we stand in awe of Jesus as if he is the exception. He's not. He says he is not. That's why in unity we call him the great example, not the great exception. The excerpt from the shack says that Jesus had that faith, that knowingness, and displayed it to the uttermost. We usually do it by percentages, if we do it at all. If we do it at all. It's something to contemplate. What if before everything you did, everything you tried, you invoked your oneness with the all-good, the all-power, the all-powerful, the omnipresence, the omniscient, and then stepped forward? I'm famous for saying to Quentin when I go out to do something, oh, wish me luck. And he always says, you don't need luck. You don't need luck. This is who you are. This is what you do. I don't think I've said that in a long time. Maybe I'm embracing that union, that co-union, more fully, more often. Perhaps that is luck, is the embracing of our oneness with the all good. What could you accomplish if you stayed in the knowingness of being one with the all good, the all powerful, the all knowing? You would never have a moment of doubt. You would never have a moment of confusion. You would sit in your oneness knowing that the answers are there when you need them, that the resources are there when you need them, that the strength and the power, whatever it is you need or want or think you don't have, is there. I've been watching the movie about Tammy Faye Baker. And the portion that I was watching today, she's singing a song and she says, we don't deserve it, and yet we are blessed. It's not a matter of deserving anything. You already have it. So you don't have to say, I don't deserve it. What's the other thing that drives me mad? Better than I deserve. You know who says that. I won't say that name. Oh, I'm better than I deserve. It's not about deserving. You already have everything you need. You already are everything you need to be. You can think that you don't deserve it, but that's on you. You choose that. Because the truth is otherwise. The truth is that you have as much power as you will claim. You have as much goodness and love and harmony and peace and joy and prosperity as you will claim. Period. Period. Jesus knew it, knew the truth. Our job is to remember we have it too. He is our brother and way shower. Want to know how to do it? Read about how he did it. We get mixed up when we think about worshiping Jesus as opposed to focusing on what he taught and what he exemplified. He's a humble man walking around, doing his thing, being in his power, knowing where that came from at all times, at all times. And maybe where we see him struggle, now as we're leading up to Easter, is in Gethsemane. When the ultimate test now, the ultimate challenge for him is before him. And I love, love, love that story because that teaches me so much about my own life. That he sits there and he prays until he gets it. And he stays open. And finally he gets to, your will, not mine. Your will, not mine. And he surrenders and says yes. Because this is what I'm called to be. And I have everything within me to handle it with grace and ease. Knowing that I am not alone. Because I have this oneness, this omnipresence, this omnipotence that is me. So will you stay grounded or will you fly? We have a choice in each moment of every day. Moment by moment. Will I be grounded or will I fly? Will I spread my wings and fly? Let's take this in a meditation. So where are you? And what is it? What is it that's keeping you grounded? Are you flying at some times during the day with some things and then grounding yourself when other situations are presented? What is that thing? What is that thing that keeps you grounded? That leads you to believe it's too big, too much, or that perhaps you don't deserve it? What is it you think you don't deserve? And how can you invoke your oneness with the all-good, the all-powerful, the all-knowing? How can you step more fully into your divinity and fully be the divine expression you are created to be? It's so much more than deserving. You are the magnificence you seek. You are the eagle that can soar the heights. You are confidence. You are boldness. You are power and strength and goodness. You are love. You are grace. You are harmony and unity. You are what you seek. And so I invite you in each moment of your life to affirm your oneness with the all-good and then step forward into your greatness. Step forward with and in your magnificence. step with and in your magnificence. Shine and shine brightly. Shine and shine brightly. Leaving nothing undone. Leaving nothing half done. Knocking the ball out of the park. Living not with glass half full, but glass overflowing. Infinitely overflowing. With more of the good than your two arms can hold. So let's breathe in. Breathe into magnificence and exhale. Breathe it in. Hold it in, claim it, say yes and thank you, and exhale. All is well, all is good, all is love, all is God. And so it is, and so it shall be. Amen. So here in this moment, in our power and our peace, let's now raise the names of those for whom we want to pray.
Joe.
For Dwayne, for Marie, for Judy Marie, for Melissa, for Stacy and Marquise, for Cheryl, for Danielle, Davion, and Tony, for Michael, for Eddie and Reba, for Mary Lou, for all of these beloved souls, and all those we have not named in this moment, but who are in our thoughts and our minds as we go through our week. We acknowledge and affirm their oneness with the omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. We know that their highest and best is at work in their lives right now, and we hold the high watch for them. We hold the high watch for them. And so we say yes and thank you for full manifestation of their good. Amen. And so we know this omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence is also the source of all good that flows into our lives, all that we give, our time, treasure, and talent. And we now recite together our celebration of giving. Together? Blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and so it is.
Again.
Good morning again.
Okay, so this is where you sing along. You got to do that. All right, here we go. Or dance, you know. A song for all of our beloveds and for each of us. When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, then something without warning, love, weighs heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and then the world's all right with me. I just want to look at you, and I know it's gonna be, oh yeah, sing it, a lovely day. Big breath, here we go. A lovely day. Second verse. And when the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, then someone else instead of me always seems to know the way. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Hey, just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be, oh, a lovely day, 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 a lovely day. Lovely day. When the day that lies ahead of me seems impossible to face, and when somebody else instead of me always seem to know the way, oh, then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Every time I look at you, I know it's gonna be, oh yeah, a lovely day. Hey, a lovely day.
If you'll join me in saying our vision and mission statement. We are Unity Spiritual Center Saxe. We are a thriving global community of spiritual seekers transforming lives through love and the expression of our innately divine gifts. Our mission is to inspire spiritual growth to the teachings and demonstration of unity principles toward the realization of living our best lives. Divine wisdom is at work in every area of our lives right now. Everything is always working out for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's always wonderful to have you in the room and watching us remotely. Have a glorious day, a glorious week. Namaste.